Hi, Russ. I can't hear you.
How about now?
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, my browser's having issues with the mic tonight for some reason.
Yeah.
So tell my audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the field.
Sure. I'm Alison Hescock. I'm on Paranormal Investigators of New England. Our team was founded in 2004 by a guy by the name of Jeffrey Stewart. He's no longer on the team, but we do have a director who is awesome. Her name is Betty Miller. Yeah, so we do everything from hauntings to ufology to cryptozoology. And we also have a new missing persons unit as well called the Special Investigations Unit. So I joined the team back a year ago, so probably August or September of 2023. And yeah, so just been on the team since. I've been interested in the paranormal fields since probably 2009 is when I started personally doing some investigating on my own, and with some other smaller teams. So yeah, that's kind of the rundown.
Awesome. I did see that on your guys' website that you do missing persons.
Yeah, that's a newer thing. We haven't gotten any cases yet, but we are, open to cases that are within the past 5 years. We're not really taking on any cold cases at this time, but we may eventually open it up to that depending on how many cases we get, but it is on the newer side, so.
Awesome. So what is the most scariest experience that you've had in the paranormal since you're fairly new to this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, was that the scariest you said?
Yep. The scariest experience you had
Personally or on the team?
personally.
Personally, so I dealt with a dark entity that I believe followed me home from Salem. Although thinking back on it, it was on October 29th, 2013. And it was at like 3:25 a.m. So looking back on it, I question whether something followed me home from Salem or whether it was just a matter of the veil being low and it being, the witching hour. And, that alone could have been enough to allow some dark entity in. But it was basically something long, dark, and shadowy that laid next to me. My father experienced it as well the same night, and my father is agnostic. He doesn't believe in anything religious or anything. So for him to come forward and say that he experienced something the same night said a lot to me, just knowing my father. But I mean, yeah, that was definitely the darkest, scariest experience I've ever had. I don't go really into specifics on it. especially on a public,
Right.
like I don't really open up to about that a lot. But it was definitely the scariest experience I've ever had. And I like this stuff. For me to get scared said a lot as well. I was scared to sleep in my room for 2 to 3 weeks after that happened, I would say. And then every once in a while, I would start to feel the same sensation that I had. And it would make me think it was coming back again, and that freaked me out. But I did a lot of saging and a lot of Palo Santo sticks and a lot of clearing, and just really learned to stand my ground and to be strong within myself and within my faith. And I would just tell it to leave, to go away, that it's not welcome. And that's kind of how I dealt with it. And I think it's worked so far. So um, that's, this definitely the scariest experience I've personally had. It also made me a stronger person and made me really want to help other people, because I know that there's a stigma sometimes associated with coming out about this stuff when you do experience something. And I didn't want anyone else to feel that way. I want people to be able to reach out to our team and ask for help if they need it, and really to ease their fears and to make it so they're not scared to sleep in their own bed. Um, so
That
yeah, anything to help.
you're doing it for all the right reasons and not the wrong.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's what this field should be, is being to help people that get scared, that don't know where to turn. That's like us, we do a lot of residential cases, that's what we mainly do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all about that. I'm all about, helping people to understand that if you are scared, it's just going to allow something to come in. We always advise to, you know, try to not let fear in as much as you can. Just, acknowledge that it's there, but just tell it to leave and that it's not welcome. And that's pretty much what you can do. There's things, of course, out there like holy water that they say help as well. You know more about that. I can
Holy
let you.
water does work, holy oil as well works, because you can take holy oil and you can put it between the bedposts and stuff, and you won't have to worry about it getting swept away or washed away, where like salt, holy salt, you have to worry about it getting broke and something getting in. So you can do all the thresholds of a door with holy oil, and that'll last for a long time.
Yep, and I know you have told me personally that that sage is not really um, the best thing to use anymore either, because they've
Yeah,
kind of become a little too smart to it, right? So
yeah. Your darker stuff, I mean, it'll still work for your regular ghosts and
yeah,
spirits for cleansing, but your demonic and darker stuff, it doesn't work for them.
yeah, doesn't
It
touch.
just it just throws them into hiding, and then they wait till you leave and everything clears, and then it makes it 10 times worse for your client.
Yeah, that's not advisable then, I guess. But yeah, my team, we really don't do any clearing. We refer people to the specialists in that, in like demonology or, anything along those lines, any clearing. We can refer people, but we don't typically take that on ourselves. Our job is to investigate and to come back and let you know if we think the place is haunted, or let you know our findings.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you gotta really know how to do a cleansing to physically cleanse somebody's house.
Yeah.
We do them, and you have to have real good training into them and what you do. Faith has to be strong. We usually have our clients go with us and take their house back.
Yeah, I think that really, there is a power in that. I think that's really what I had to do, was to really stand my ground both within myself, really be strong in who I am, be strong in my faith, and be strong in taking my space back. And I think that's really what helped me personally. But I do agree with that. I think, you got to stand in your power.
Yep. And I mean, residential cases they're hard, really hard, because you got a different mix of energies going on with clients, and their backgrounds and if they're on medication, alcohol abuse, all kinds of stuff like that. So,
That's very true, and I've found that things can change depending on whose energy is there, depending who you bring into your home. Kind of like you're saying with, what the people's backgrounds are, even their energy, or their experiences with the paranormal, or they can bring a lot to it if they have an attachment or something, you know, or objects, I suppose, too, right? So
yeah, I mean, my family owns big museums of haunted objects besides
yeah.
Zach Bagans.
Yep, that's true. So very cool.
And I mean, a lot of those items too are not your regular spirits either.
Yeah.
They're a lot of your darker stuff.
Yep, that's very true. Very true.
So, so some of the cases we were talking backstage, you said you got an EVP out of a restaurant on your recorder.
Yes, I did. I got one of the clearest ones that my team has caught so far, I'm told. And that was at a restaurant called The Last Chair in Westover, Vermont, which is located near Mount Snow Ski Resort. And that is a heavy traffic restaurant, because it's located near the mountain. They get a lot of foot traffic in there. They get a lot of customers from all over New England, and obviously not limited to New England, but they get they get a lot of
Right.
guests, especially in the winter time. But it's an older building, and it's had history of a couple of different fires that have happened there. I don't believe anyone's perished there in the fires, but it has had some other history there. And we definitely caught a very clear EVP. It was myself and the owner of the restaurant. His name is Jim Thomas, and two other members on my team. And we were walking around, and uh, they one of my team members heard something, and so she said, or I'm sorry, let me back up. She felt something, and she said, "Did anyone else feel that breeze?" And right as she said that, you hear a clear as day EVP that says, "It's nice, isn't it?" And it was like so clear that it was almost like someone else was right there. But it was, like I said, it was only the two team members, and I knew it wasn't the person who asked the question. I asked the other investigator, and she said, "It's definitely not me. It's not even my voice." And obviously wasn't Jim, the owner, and it was myself. So it was pretty clear that it wasn't any of us. And so that was a really cool EVP to catch.
Do you find where some of them will mock your team members in
Pardon
EVP?
me?
Have you found any EVPs where your team members' voices have gotten mocked by something?
Yeah, actually. So I don't know that we necessarily caught it on film, but when my team went down to Gettysburg actually this past summer, actually it was early spring in May, um, we had gone to Gettysburg, and we stayed at this haunted inn, called the Balladary Inn.
Okay,
Um,
familiar.
yeah, and so that was a really awesome place to stay, and it was when we were not investigating, but we were just, staying in the rooms, and we would each kind of think we heard each other. So Michelle would, Heidi would think she heard Michelle, that sort of thing.
Mm,
Um, so I did have a cool experience with that when I stayed back. I only stayed back one day because I loved seeing all the history stuff that was going on. So, like, we had a lot of events that, either we were going to different museums, or we were going just to tour the battlefields and stuff like that. So I wanted to be involved in that. But the one day I stayed back, because I wasn't feeling so good, I was on the phone with someone, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to let you go. The girls are back." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I hear them." And so we were hanging up, and wound up staying on the phone a couple minutes longer than we intended to.
mm.
And as we're on the phone, I got a text message saying, "Do you want anything from the store? We're at Walmart," or whatever store that they were at. And I was like, "Wait, you guys aren't back yet? I swear I just heard you." And the person on the phone also had heard them. And he's like, "They're not back yet?" I was like, "I guess not." So, yeah, so there was definitely some mimicking going on there, I would say, um, which was a pretty cool experience. I had never experienced that before. And that was without even really investigating or trying to catch anything at that point. So that was pretty neat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you check out the orphanage when you were out there in Gettysburg?
Yes, we did. So the orphanage was a really cool place to investigate. We also did the Jenny Wade house while we were there. Um, the Jenny Wade house, we definitely heard some disembodied voices, but I didn't personally catch anything too much there. The orphanage was a little different. So I'm not a person who typically says that I see stuff. I know I experienced the long, dark, shadowy entity, but I don't typically see anything. When I joined the team, they told me that the longer you're on the team, the more likely you are to see.
Yep.
So I've experienced that to be true since going to Gettysburg. Um, so when we were at the orphanage, we were sitting in kind of a circle. They have some benches that were in there. So we were sitting around on the benches, and someone was running an SLS cam, the one that shows the stick figures for
Mhm.
people listening. Um, and so as we're doing all of that, I started to see these faces appear, and they almost looked like bismuth, like had that kind of they were just really cool colored faces that started to try to appear, but they couldn't quite form. And that was really the second time I've ever really seen anything. The first time being also in Gettysburg. Um, we had we were touring the battlefields, and we went and we're on top of this tower that you could climb up.
Okay, yep. Little round top.
Yeah, and we were looking out over the battlefields, and I there was a group of people walking below us. And I turned to one of my team members and I said, "Oh, that's so cool. They have a horse down there." And I said this out loud. And I looked back down and there was no horse. So I think I saw a phantom horse, and it didn't register with me at first. But thinking about it afterwards, I was like, "Oh, what I saw was clear." It wasn't like a normal horse, but I just thought at first that they were doing some reenactment or something and didn't think
Yeah, and
any.
they're actually not allowed to do any reenactments on the
Yeah.
battlefield.
I didn't even know that. And so I had just, looked to my team member and said, "Oh, cool, they have a horse," not thinking anything of it till I looked back and was like, "Oh, there's nothing there." So that was pretty cool. But that was the first time I saw anything, was the phantom horse. And then the second time were those faces that looked like they were trying to appear.
Mhm.
And that was interesting to me because I felt that if I were gonna see something like a ghost or anything, it would be clear and, kinda like the phantom horse, either a clear outline or a misty,
Right.
entity, I guess. And it was very odd to me that they were showing up, like, rainbow colored and everything. So I was like, I've never would have thought that I would see that, so I can't even make that up. But yeah.
No, I believe you because when we were there, we experienced cannon fire,
Mhm.
and we were up on Little Round Top, and we seen smoke come up over the trees down by the bloody field down there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I captured audio up at Devil's Den of horses. You can hear the hooves,
Oh, wow.
and then
That's
people walking behind me, like, marching with me.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to Devil's Den as well. We didn't catch anything there. We did spend a little time there trying to investigate, but I didn't feel like we really caught much there. But we did go up and touch the big tree and everything, which that was cool. It was a cool experience to be
You have
there.
to go in the field in the back, which is a triangular field. That's the most active spot of Devil's Den.
Oh, okay, that's good to know for this time when I go in June. I'll
You walk the blacktop, go back into the woods, circle back around, you'll come down before you hit the bridge, you'll see a hiking trail
Mhm.
that takes you down the bottom side of Devil's Den right back around out to the parking lot.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think I remember seeing that bridge, so, I'll keep an eye out for that next
I
time.
I did the path below Devil's Den by myself, and you could feel people just the energy and people walking with you. Come to find out when you hit the woods, that's where they used to haul the soldiers in and out on train cars.
Wow,
They ripped up the train tracks and they sent the wood to France, is what
wow.
one of the rangers were telling me.
Yeah, it's amazing the history there. I personally was really blessed because one of our team members, his name's Kevin Cheney, he is really well known. Like he knows his history at the back of his hand, especially that history of Gettysburg. So I was fortunate to ride in his truck, and he would take me around and tell me all about every single battle, and it was really really fascinating. So I was glad to get there.
Did you guys check out Reynolds Woods at all?
I don't recall that off the top of my head. It's not ringing a bell, but is that were you
John
related?
Yeah, that's where John F. Reynolds got killed on his
Oh,
horse.
wow.
He was major general, and he was leading a charge out of the woods, and they told him to get off his horse, and he stayed on there, and a sharpshooter caught him in the back of the neck
Yikes.
and killed him.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Yeah,
He
there's a lot of sad history there, and it's definitely palpable when you're there. You can definitely tell that
Mhm.
something happened on those lands. It's you definitely pick up on it.
When you get down to the bloody field down there, you can actually smell the iron when it's raining
Mm.
from
Oh
all
my
the blood.
Wow. Yeah, we were fortunate to have pretty good weather, so I don't even think it rained any of the days we were there, but I'll definitely keep that in mind because if it does when we're there next time,
Yep.
I'd be interested to smell that. Yeah.
In broad daylight, even in the bloody field, you'll catch activity. I caught a figure on camera on the edge of the woods. Actually, I was live on Facebook and one of my viewers spotted it, and it was a Chinese dressed in armor.
Wow.
And they had some of the Chinese people fighting in the Civil War along with the Irish. And
Wow. That's some really neat history because I wouldn't have ever expected that the Chinese were fighting in that war. That's
yep,
in
they
wow.
were in there. And you go up, you'll see all the plaques where the Irish plaques. And there is a plaque for the Chinese that fought. There wasn't very many of them, but
Wow. Yeah, I felt like the more we were there, like there's so much history to learn and soak up that I'm like, I could spend like weeks there, I think,
oh, yeah.
easily.
That's even the orphanage. We caught activity in the orphanage on a tripwire.
Oh, wow. Yep.
We're all sitting at those tables in that one
Mhm.
room, and the tour
Yeah.
guide was talking with the lights off, and we had a tripwire set up in the doorway. And each time she would talk about the head orphanage lady, that tripwire would go crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think in that like back room where I think it's where they would hold their like school lessons and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, there was like a closet in there, and I know people from my team kept picking up on a dark entity and in that closet. So for for whatever that's worth. I don't know that we caught it on anything, but I know people were sensing it there.
Yep.
Yeah,
But yeah, even down in the down in the basement where they used to lock the kids too, you could feel that energy down there that it
definitely. We sat around there for a little while, for sure, and yeah, that was definitely eerie down there.
so we had a lady there was a lady in there 'cause they'd bring you in there and shut the light off so
Oh
you
my
could
god.
actually experience what the kids felt when they were in there, and we had a lady got overwhelmed down there.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it. It's very very overwhelming down in that basement. We sat around there for a while. We had the SLS cam going down there too. Um, and a few trigger objects. I think we had like cat balls down there and everything for the kids to play with. And we're trying to interact with the children, but and I know a couple of us saw, some, I don't know what looked like mists, like that type of thing, in there. And but yeah, it's hard too because you want to make sure it's not your eyes just playing tricks on you, because you're sitting in a
Right.
room. It's hard sometimes to make that distinction. And I mean, even another thing we try to warn people of is pareidolia, not to mistake. Your brain can play tricks on you and, make you think you see a face when there's not a face there. And so,
Mhm. And a lot of them too, when they take the pictures, they play with the filters on them, which creates that pixelization in them that creates an image, and then
yeah,
they're seeing faces in it.
yeah, that's true too. So yeah, we're always trying to debunk as much as we can. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to that basement. I think. I mean, that was such a horrific treatment of those children down there. So it's definitely possible that something's going on down there.
Mhm. And then we did the Jenny Wade house during the day when we did it, and, we got some activity during the day in there. They don't want you really talking about the paranormal during the day, but
Yeah, yeah, that is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, paranormal can happen, hauntings can happen at any time, day or night, really. But yeah, a lot of people do associate it with nighttime and in the dark. So you're,
well, the reason why they do it for the dark is because it's easier to see them in the dark because the ghost is made up of light. So light passes through them, so you don't really see them during the day as much.
yeah,
And at night, it's more quiet. You can hear things. People are settled down. Where during the day, it's active.
yeah.
You're gonna get
Also,
evidence
you can
contamination.
IR cams and everything like that too, which makes it easier to help you see them in the dark and stuff too, kind of like what you're saying. So,
And we find full spectrum cameras are a little bit better than your night vision cameras
hmm, yep, absolutely.
for seeing them. I've got a camera that actually debunks orbs.
Oh, really? Cool. I would love that because you see so many orbs and people always ask about them. And my team doesn't really include orbs in our evidence findings at all because they're so easily debunkable. And, it's either dust or condensation or
Yep.
sometimes hair, pet hair. So it's so many different things can show up as an orb that it's really, really hard to tell. I did have an experience in Salem, Mass, where I had gone on a walking ghost tour, just for spooky fun, not for really searching out ghosts. But in the meantime, I took pictures, of course, and we were in a graveyard, and I took a picture, and the entire picture was filled with orbs. And to me, that's a little different than collecting, just seeing like a piece of dust float by or something. But I think orbs can really all depend if they're emitting their own light. Then sometimes if it's also coinciding some other piece of evidence, like maybe we have a REM pod going off or something as well,
Mhm.
then we might count it. But it's they're so easy to debunk that we try to avoid using that as in our evidence reels.
Right. Yeah, we do too. I mean, I'm not a sold on orbs. I mean, now if you get an orb where you can pull a face out of it, then you might have something
Yeah,
there, but
yeah, that's true too. So I think it
or if
all.
you get the different flight patterns, that's where your full spectrum comes in. Like that camera I've got is one side's night vision, one side's full spectrum.
Oh, neat.
Orb passes through night vision, it should pass through full spectrum to be a traditional orb or a light anomaly.
Yep.
And even our DVR cameras, I tell a client all the time, it's like, you'll see how dusty your house is when we start walking around.
Exactly. You got to clean first, right?
You know? And it's kind of funny. They sit there and they'll watch the cameras with my dad, and they'll start laughing when they see all this dust flying around. But we've had some clients where they'll be like, "Those are orbs." No,
No. Yeah, no, we try to discount them as much as we can, try not to include them. So
Do you guys do the Estes method in your group?
we, yeah, we do. I personally had an experience with that before I joined Paranormal Investigators of New England. Um, and that was kind of fascinating. Is that it was a location in New Hampshire with three buildings and a paranormal team from Maine. And I apologize because I don't remember what their official name was. Um, they had been taking us around to the three different buildings, and in one of them, I was put under in the Estes method, and it was my first time ever doing it, and it was wild. Afterwards, one of the members on the main team came up to me and said, "You scare me." I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Well, you came up with both my first name and my middle name under that." So that was kind of wild to me, being my first time going under. But I've done it. Also, we investigated at this warehouse. Actually, it was a store called New Centara up in Essex, Vermont. And we've investigated their store, and we've also investigated their warehouses as well, which are located in Rutland, Vermont. I believe they recently sold the warehouses, but the store is still open up in Essex. And when we were at the store, I had gotten under Estes, and my group all night we kept hearing a cat. And I'm sitting there under Estes, and all of a sudden I felt something like warm on my back, and I was like, "Oh, like I feel like I was just touched by a cat." And my group didn't tell me until like the very end of the night that, "Oh, by the way, we heard the cat when you were under." So that was kind of funny. I was like, I had no idea, and like I felt that, and yeah, so that was another interesting time of being under. But other than those two times, I think those are the only two times. I might have done it at last year too, but I don't think I came up with anything when we were there.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you were talking about that your team's been to some of the famous locations. What
Yep.
besides Gettysburg?
Yep. So they've been to, I believe, like the Lizzie Borden house, the Conjuring house in Connecticut. I want to say they've been to the Enfield house, but I'm not entirely sure. The Oliver house. We recently were at the 1834 Herkimer County Jail.
Okay. Yep. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so they've been to some cool locations. I believe they've been to the Waverly Sanatorium in Kentucky. Um, and those are just the ones that are coming to me off the top of my head that my group, I believe, has been to. But those are ones that I did not go to with them. So, but we've done Wilson Castle in Proctor, Vermont. I've been there personally a few times, twice investigating, one time just going to visit because it's a cool place. Even if you're not into the paranormal, I would suggest it to anybody. If you can do a tour there, it's just a very interesting, cool place to see. My team member just popped up saying we were at Enfield, so that's good confirmation. Um, and yeah, so those are some of the locations that we've been to.
Well, if you get a chance to go to Waverly, don't pass it up. Definitely go.
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely will. I'll hop on that one if that ever comes up again. So,
Yeah, it's good. It lives up to its name, the most haunted place in America.
wow. Yeah, I don't even know what my team found there when they went. That's something I'll have to pick their brains about. But yeah, that's sounds like a really cool place to go to. So,
We got a lot of evidence when we went. We went a couple of years ago, and we ended up. I got pinned to a surgery table on the fourth floor
oh wow.
because I used myself as a guinea pig, playing like I'm sick, kind of doing like a role play thing.
Yep.
And so we had my one team member yelling for a doctor, and we had a motion light setting on a by the doorway that went off. Then I heard a noise. I went to sit up, and I couldn't move.
Oh my goodness.
And then we heard two loud female screams in the hallway.
So do you think something was, like, taking over you and, like, temporarily paralyzing
No,
you?
I think it was more like the doctor was restraining me, thinking I had tuberculosis or something, that he
Oh,
wanted me to do surgery on me.
yeah, wow. That's
They
nuts.
they used to do a lot of bad surgeries there. They would take people's rib cages out, put all kinds of experiments to try to battle the tuberculosis. I mean, they would even put balloons in them to try to help them, and a lot of it, they died on the operating table doing it.
Yeah, I mean, tuberculosis, that was so sad. I mean, even I know some of like the local Vermont history, like in Manchester, Vermont, there was a girl that was buried because they thought, actually, I believe she was burned because they thought she was a vampire. And it's like really, people just had tuberculosis, but they would start thinking people were vampires. And um, yeah, that was horrible. But I believe she was, and I'm not sure, don't quote me on it. I'm not sure if she was burned or what they did to her, but it was an awful death. And then her grave, I believe, is in Manchester, Vermont. So,
Yeah, I know there's a vampire grave in, Rhode Island.
mhm.
My cousins Keith and Carl Johnson were telling me about it because 'cause we're supposed to come to Rhode Island sometime and go with them and check it out.
Yeah, yeah, I think that was the thing back then. I mean, just with tuberculosis, but yeah, wild what they would do to people.
Oh, yeah, and they even did it out here. We've had out here in Missouri, we have some tuberculosis hospitals that are still standing.
Yeah, I believe that. Have you ever been investigating at any of those ones?
The one we tried to get into, it's actually sitting for sale, and we were trying to work out something with the owners, the real estate company that has it, and see if we could get in there, but they kind they reached out to the owners that own it that are selling it, and they're out of Virginia that owns it. They kinda turned us down on it.
Bummer. I know. Sometimes getting the permission is the tricky part, right?
Well, a lot of it too, even some of, like, your abandoned places too, when you go and ask for permission, the kids have already been in there and vandalized it.
Yeah, it kind of ruins it for everyone else, which is unfortunate.
I mean, if you want to urban explorer, ask permission and don't go in there vandalizing the place, smashing windows out, spray painting everything.
Yeah, no way.
That just ruins it for, like, you and me that actually do the right way and ask permission to go in there.
Yeah, and of course, like, wanna get answers for other people too, you know? So it's a bummer, that stuff like that ruins it for people.
Mark Menard said number 1 on my bucket list for Waverly.
Nice, awesome. He's a team member, so hopefully we'll get to go one of these times.
Another good one for you guys to check out is Missouri State Penitentiary.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
We've done that twice, and
Awesome.
you can do the private overnight or you can do a 2-hour or 6-hour ghost tour with the staff, but I recommend the overnight.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the recommendations, that's great. We'll definitely put those on our list of places we wanna go.
Little tip I can give you is don't let the men go up to the women's wing, or you
Okay,
have to be quiet for the whole night.
really? Okay, that's good to
Will
keep.
not respond to men. All the women go up there, you'll have activity all night up there.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
The dungeon's another good hot spot.
Okay. Yep.
They housed JB the firebug down there for 18 years and he went blind. There's no lights in the cells, nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Very sad.
And then another good place in Atchison, Kansas is the McIntyre Villa is another good one.
Okay, thanks.
So Stephanie's got a real good haunted location there.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to check that out if we ever get invited there, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you can rent the place. She'll rent it out to you
Okay.
for the night, so for you and your team to investigate.
Oh, nice. That would be cool. I'll have to mention that to my director and see if that's something she'd be into. So, we're mostly New England, but we'll travel to places when we can, so of course, it's on our own dime, so it's what everyone can afford, and what you know you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, we travel quite a bit
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
don't just stay in Missouri when we do residential cases, we go to other states.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So we could be in Missouri one weekend, and next weekend we could be in Indiana, Illinois, we could be in Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you guys travel a lot then.
Yep.
Like I said,
Plus
we're mainly New England, but I mean, definitely, like, we go to Gettysburg, at least once a year, I'd say. But being new on the team, I don't know that that's true every year, so, but yeah.
Jay says, "What about West Virginia, Hatfield, McCoy area?"
That'd be pretty cool. Um, Good area to check out. Definitely a lot of history down in West Virginia, so
Yeah, in
good.
West Virginia and that Appalachia, they got a lot of history. There was that
Mhm.
one, but I think it's been debunked now, where there was a movie filmed on it called The Hunted.
Yep.
The guy had an experience in college while he was hunting this piece of property in the Appalachia. There was a screaming woman. They were
Wow.
there in the woods, but come to find out, they ended up debunking it that it was bobcat screams and a mountain lion scream.
Yeah, yeah, those wild animals can sound, just like a screaming lady, like the Fisher cats that we have up here sound the same way, and it's wild.
Mhm. Yeah, bobcats scream, and it sounds just like a woman you swear getting murdered.
Yep, it was actually funny. We went to Jamaica State Park, which is local to me. It's a town over from the town I live in, and so when we were investigating Jamaica State Park, there was a Fisher cat out there, and we were like more scared of the Fisher cat than anything, that might be haunting the woods. So, um, but yeah, it's interesting the wildlife you'll run into when you're out investigating sometimes, and
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got a friend that does cryptids. He does Bigfoot research here in Missouri, Carter Burchard, and he was actually a consultant on finding Bigfoot
oh wow,
when
neat.
they had Missouri and Kansas, and he goes down to the Ozarks,
Mhm.
down to the Mark Twain National Forest, and he finds some strange stuff down there. We're supposed to go down there with him, and because there's a cemetery out in the middle of the woods that's supposed to be a haunted demonic cemetery out there.
Oh wow, that would be cool to check out.
You're
Um,
wanting to come out, check it out.
the other place too, going back to West Virginia for a second, is of course Pleasantville, right? With the Mothman prophecies and
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah.
that would be a cool place to explore for sure.
See, and I grew up in New York State, so and where I lived, the town I lived in was 1800, so there's a lot of history there. The house I lived in was actually a Civil War house.
Oh wow.
I
That,
had my first experience at 6 years old in that house
mhm.
of a full-bodied apparition at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Now, how did that impact you, like as a kid, and growing up, knowing you've seen that your whole life, And I mean,
It kinda sparked my interest a little bit.
mhm.
I mean, when I first saw it, I was, like, pulled blankets over my head and was like, "It's not real, it'll go away." And I look again and it's gone, but then as I got older, it kinda sparked my interest, like, maybe I should be doing this to help people and especially kids that experience stuff like that.
Yeah, you're definitely in it for the right reasons too. So it's
And that's kinda sparked mine when I hit a teenager. I started my neighbor's house, same thing. His grandmother would haunt the house. There was an old man that haunted the house that lived there in the 1800s, and I remember my dad would stay there to go deer hunting, and he told me a story. He seen a little boy there one night sitting there bouncing a ball against the wall,
oh wow.
and
Think
to
of it.
find out the boy died in the barn there, and the old man, his father, hung himself in the barn,
Mm-mm.
one of the rafters.
So sad. What did your uncle think of it?
What's that? My dad? He's
Oh, sorry. Yeah, your dad. Mhm.
Yeah, he was kinda skeptical, and then he had a near-death experience in the '70s from a car accident. So,
Yikes.
he has abilities, and it bothered him for a while, and then eventually, when I got into this and formed the group, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna put your abilities to use. You're gonna
Mhm.
investigate with me."
Yeah,
Now we're like a
that
father-son team.
that's pretty awesome, I like that. Um, but that's also cool too, though, because another thing, that a lot of people on my team seem to have is like, a lot of people have different abilities, but um, we all have our tells too. And so, like mine, because of the dark entity, that, I know that one of my tells is chills, like all down my body or down my legs. If I start feeling that, then I typically know there's some kind of negative or high energy um, spirit around. And my one of my teammates, her tell is actually like burping if she's around high energy or negative energy. So, I'm just kind of wondering, do you find that having had an ND yourself and having your father having one as well, do you find that you're like a little more in tune and you have tells
Oh,
as well?
yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Like, for me, when I walk into a house that has something dark, I'll get hit right between the eyes,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and I'll get the pressure in my chest, and it feels like you're walking through, like, clay and mud where it's hard to walk.
Yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating how everyone has their own little different tells, um but it's such a thing. It's I never realized it till I joined the team how many other people like experience something like within their body and can definitely pick up on the energy.
And then the more you do it, the more seasoned you get at it, the more sensitive you become to it.
Yep, that's very true as well.
Like me, I've been doing it 31 years, so,
Yeah, it's a good long time.
yeah, I've been in it a long time, and, I don't get scared anymore. I can investigate solo, and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, that's one thing like our team does typically do like the buddy system, just
That's
safety
the best way,
way.
safety.
Um, but I know with myself, I don't really get scared either unless it's something demonic or something, and then I'm like, nope, I'm out. That's where that's where I personally draw the line.
I don't even get scared with them anymore because
Yeah.
I've dealt with so many of them over the years.
Yep. I mean, I know that's kind of your area where you're seasoned at that, but for me, I'm like, nope. I mean, ghosts don't really scare me. I know I've had some people approach me asking, like, well, doesn't that scare you? And I'm like, no, it's like another human. There's scarier humans in the world, is the way I look at it. Um, so, I mean, all depending too. Most of the time, ghosts will, if they're going to show up, they'll probably have the same personality that they had when they were alive. So if they were a jerk when they were, alive, guess what? They're probably going to be a jerk now that they're passed away as well. Or on the flip side, they may be very sweet.
Right.
So,
That's even like your residential cases. If it was somebody that owned that house at one time, they're still there looking over their house. You get a new person that moves in, starts changing things and remodeling, and
mhm.
of course they're gonna get angry because to them
Yeah,
you're
stir
trespassing their
up.
space.
Yeah, stirring stuff up for sure. Um, yeah, and I mean, other times it may be like a residual haunt or something too. So it's like, they're probably not, you may not pick up on their personality as much. They're just kind of in the routine doing the same old thing, walking over to the refrigerator or whatever it was.
Yep, it's pretty much the same time every day. They did it
Hmm.
every day, they're just gonna keep doing it,
Yep, exactly.
and they
So,
don't know you're there. You may see it, but they don't see you, they don't interact with you.
no, I mean, I think we picked up on some of that at the Balladarian as well. There was definitely, we had one of our mediums there. We have a couple mediums on our team, and one of them, actually, I believe they were both there, but one of them definitely was picking up on some residual haunting type stuff. That's just like, she could kind of see that, in the room next to us, that there were people being worked on, medically and stuff like that. And that would have been happening probably in that room, because they were using every building as possible to, as hospitals to try to help people. So,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, definitely. Well, that's like Missouri State. If you go into the cell houses, like, solitary, you walk up there and you'll hear cell doors slamming of the residual energy.
yep.
You're looking right at the doors, and the doors are wide open.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Residual.
So and even my house, like, my mom passed away in the house, and I caught her on camera in here about
Oh
3
wow.
PM every morning doing her same ritual. She would come from the bedroom, go to the kitchen to make her coffee.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Saying,
But one thing I do want to ask you on that, I guess, is like, have you ever experienced anything where, you've had maybe a relative or a friend or someone close to you show up to you? And how do you decipher that between like that being really that person and that being a demon pretending to be that person?
well, I've had my mom and come to me. She was spotted actually on a case with me. Our
Oh,
one
wow.
client had abilities, and she
Mhm.
says, "Who's that lady standing next to you?" She's tall, brown hair, and she described my mom right to a T. I was like, "That's my mom."
Wow. That's amazing.
So she's kinda
Yeah.
like my guardian that follows me,
So, yeah.
make sure I'm okay. But when she passed away, I actually talked to her on a spirit box.
Oh, wow.
I asked her a question that only she would know, so that way I knew it wasn't somebody else trying to trick me.
Yep, I've done that with pendulums, with past relatives, and um, I try to be careful with that a bit. I try to only, make it clear that I'm only inviting in any good spirits. I try to make that very clear. I invite in guardian angels and spirit guides and um, anything along those lines. But I try to be very careful with it. Even like my team, we don't use Ouija boards or anything,
Yeah,
anything,
words are no,
because you
no.
never know. You can invite stuff in that you don't mean to invite in. Um, but but yeah, in terms of doing the pendulum on my own, before I was even on the team, we did the same thing with my grandmother. My mom did not feel comfortable using a pendulum by herself, so I walked her through it, and I kind of did it for her. But I said, ask a question only she would know, and she did, and sure enough, my mom and I both got teary-eyed, because we're like, we could sense my grandmother there, and it was incredible. So, but yeah, I've had a couple experiences like that.
Yeah, and I'll see my mom, she'll visit me in dreams and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a big believer that when someone visits you in a dream, that it's an actual visitation and not just a dream. I've had a couple of those myself, and I really strongly believe that that is real. That really is them visiting you. So, but yeah, I mean, are there any things that would make it obvious to you that someone is, or that like a demon is pretending to be someone that you love and care about?
Oh, yeah, you can tell that telltale sign because, 1, they're a pathological liar,
Hmm.
demon is, they will not tell the truth.
Yeah.
2, when they try to disguise it, they know if you're protected or they know when you're fearing it.
Yep. So they're,
So, with me, they know I don't fear 'em.
hmm.
My faith is strong. I'm protected, so they don't visit me.
Yep. That makes perfect sense.
Like I was telling you, like the archbishop told me, they've got my wanted poster in hell, along with theirs, and the devil does, because that's what
Yeah.
we do. We deal with that stuff. But like I said, it's very rare that you come across a demonic entity.
Yeah, that's true. My team did tell me that it's usually like maybe 1% of the cases that
Yep.
you got, it's pretty rare. Obviously you probably get called to more of those just being what you do, but um yeah, I mean for a team like my team, 1% is the norm.
We get called, it's either people are playing with the Ouija boards and they bring something in, or they're in there doing demonic worshiping in their house. We did a case in Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears,
Oh wow.
and the guy was doing demonic worshiping in his home, and he had 19-year-old daughter in there and a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old boys. So his mom called us in because she was worried about her grandkids. And he had a book on witchcraft and how to sacrifice and kill people,
Oh my gosh.
the rituals with the pentagrams and the black candles and
Yikes. It's like no wonder.
goat's head necklace, everything.
Oh my gosh.
And that was one of our other toughest cases that we've done because it was only my dad and I could go that one. So being it was such an emergency, short notice. So I seen that dark entity and he was about over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
showed up in the hallway on one of my DVR cameras. We were just watching the cameras taking a break, and camera just sat there and just pulsated like static, and then it got progressively worse, and this black figure showed up in it. So I said to my dad, I said, "Keep watching it. I'm gonna go back there and see what it is." Get back there, and that figure's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I wear Saint Benedict's medal that's been blessed by the Vatican, and I'm hanging on to that, and that thing drops down to like 5 foot and runs right at me and disappears at my legs, and I ended up with 3 razor scratches down my arm.
Yikes. That is so scary.
That was its warning, like, "If you stay here, I'm gonna hurt you."
Yep. Absolutely.
But we stayed the whole night, I cleansed the whole place out,
Mhm.
but the guy reverted back to his old ways, so once they do that, there's nothing you can do for him.
Yeah. Wow. That's
He tried to kill his girlfriend, they were going down the road doing 70 down a highway, and he started calling her all kinds of names, started choking her in the vehicle. Well, she opened the door and jumped out.
oh my gosh. Yeah, that's some real dark stuff there.
Yeah, it's and supposedly there's also 2 girls that are buried on that property that went missing in the '90s. They think they're on that property somewhere.
Oh my gosh, that's insanity.
And then with all the Native American stuff down there with the violence and the Trail of Tears for them getting run out, that feeds on a lot of that stuff too down there.
Wow. So how do you like deal with that like after coming home from something like that? Do you like how do you sleep at night?
Oh, we do. You have to cleanse yourself. Like I said, you gotta have a strong faith.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't dwell on it. After you get done, don't even think about it, don't
Mhm.
dwell on it.
Probably smartest thing you can do is just let it go and
Yep, move on to the next.
mhm.
But you have to do cleansings on your equipment, your vehicle, yourselves, even before you even leave.
Yeah, I mean, I was told, I don't know how much truth this has to it, but I was told actually by one of our clients that um he was told by a shaman to always walk in your house backwards after like being on an investigation or dealing, with something dark like that. And he's like, "Yep, always walk in your house backwards." So I just do it now as a precaution.
Well, maybe you can surround yourself with mirrors.
Pardon me?
You can surround yourself with mirrors with the glass pointed out
Hmm.
because your darker entities can't look at themselves in a mirror.
Oh wow, yeah. So that's neat too.
So they can't see
Yeah.
you, they get lost.
Wow.
And then surround yourself with the white light.
Hmm.
Like us, we won't do it on a client's property. We'll hop in a car and go down the road away from the client's house and then do a cleansing on the vehicle and the equipment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, typically my team, we just like leave it up to the team member because we're a big team. We have probably about 25 members, and give or take, and everyone has, different beliefs. So it's like,
Yeah,
people believe in that, some people don't, some people want to cleanse, some people don't bother, I guess. I don't know. It's very up to the individual to do it for themselves. And um, of course, I was raised Catholic, so I have, certain prayers that I turn to as well.
probably
And
Saint Michael the Archangel prayer.
yeah, that's a good one. And even that Roman Catholics rites of exorcism one that you and I were talking about the other day.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll refer to that one if I think there's like a real dark entity around, just as a precaution again. And then I also I do wear some of these protective beads as well.
Okay.
So obsidian and hematite and tiger's eye, I think, is on there. Garnet.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
You take
So.
your If you take your EMF detector to that tiger's eye,
Mhm.
put it on there, it'll set your EMF detector off.
Oh, really? That's good to know. I'll make sure not to wear that one on investigations. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
put your EMF detector up to it because it will set it off.
yeah, that's interesting. I've never tried that. I'm gonna try it.
They're
Uh,
charged with your energy, so
yeah, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they hold on to energy, which is like, it's important to cleanse those once in a while as well, just because they hold energy. So, um,
our bodies are made up of EMF fields
mhm, yeah,
because of our electrical impulses to our brain.
hmm,
So we give off a faint EMF field.
yeah, that's fascinating. I wonder how much like that ties into like auras. Have you ever come across anything that links the two?
Not yet,
That'd
but
be
I have friends that can actually see those,
oh, cool.
tell you what color they are.
Hmm. Yeah, I have a good friend that can do that as well. Just one friend, but he can do that, and it's pretty neat. I don't remember what color he told me mine was, but it's like
Right.
pink, blue. I don't know. I don't remember.
I was told mine's a mix of gold, white, and blue.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, I would like to like check with someone again because it was a while ago, so I don't know, but it is fascinating.
Yeah, it is, and even in the paranormal field too. So that tells you your energy field.
Hmm.
But also, like with your darker entities too, they can see it as well. So they know when you're surrounded by the white light. So they know not to come near you.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
But we do find, even in residential, we find a lot of trauma, past trauma and stuff.
Hmm.
We have to do background checks on clients, and so
Yeah, we try to do a little bit of the same and just kind of,
you want to know what you're walking into because you don't want to
mhm.
walk into somebody's house and the way the world is today and get shot.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many drugs in the world today too that, you want to make sure you're going to somewhere that's going to keep the team members safe. Um, I'm fortunate to have a very good director who's great at looking into all of that and making sure that we're going to somewhere safe and that it's a legit, a legit investigation. So she's great at protecting us in that way.
Like us, we tell our clients no weapons in the house.
Hmm.
If you're doing drugs or alcohol, no drugs and alcohol for 48 hours for us
Yeah.
being there.
Yep. Smart.
And if they don't follow the rules, we don't come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you have to do to protect your team members and yourself. So, I mean, that's totally understandable.
We were on one investigation, and I had an investigator in the one bedroom, and their son-in-law comes with a pistol, and he pulls it out like he's going to shoot a ghost.
Oh my gosh, yikes.
And I told him he needs to go or we're going.
Yep, I don't blame you one bit. That's crazy. Yeah. Don't want to be putting people in.
Another guy claimed the ghost loaded his gun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's
We've seen some doozies when we've done quite a few of them. We've gotten called into actually a case where a woman got her kids taken away. She claims it was due to paranormal activity. We got there. One, she's on anxiety medication, high EMF fields in her whole apartment building,
Oh, wow.
which high EMF fields makes you hallucinate.
Absolutely.
Got looking, her kids were taken away from neglect, the way the place looked. I mean, there was human feces all over the kids' room
Ooh,
walls, and
awful.
yeah, we've been in some
Horrible.
nasty houses.
Mhm. Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah, I'm very fortunate in that my director is great about sifting them out and figuring out, the safe ones to go to, and I'm very fortunate for that.
And a lot of time you'll get called by clients and it's not, they think it's paranormal. You get in there and you find something else. Like we found sexual molestations.
Oh my gosh.
One case we did, the guy was pimping his wife out. She was over here from the Philippines. He was pimping his wife out for money.
Oh my god. Well, it's like, a lot of the times too, when there are hauntings, it can be something that's tied to trauma as well. You'll find that's a common pattern is that they're tied to some past history of trauma.
Yeah, our one main one, this was our very first demonic case. It was like that.
Mhm,
This person had past trauma, was sleepwalking, would
mhm.
get in the car and drive to the store, sleepwalk,
Wow.
wake up in the yard. And when we were there, we actually watched an upside down cross get scratched in the side of their neck
Oh, that's nuts.
and the eyes rolling in the back of her head. So,
Wow.
and it took about 6 months to get that place back to normal.
Mhm. Yeah, that's scary for sure.
And when it takes over, it divides and conquers. When it
Mhm.
makes its target, it divides them from your family. Start feeling dread. You start feeling sick. You're
Yeah,
tired all the time. You start
affects
talking
your whole
different
life.
languages.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
I've seen too, like, not personally from my experience on my team or anything, but I've seen, episodes and stuff where of TV shows where people can like it can impact their animals even and make their animals sick and all that too. So
Yep.
it's wild.
We even do cleansings on pets too.
Yeah. Wow.
Clients. We'll do pet cleansings for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they're impacted just as much as humans
Yep.
sometimes.
And they see them better than we can. They'll
Yeah.
see your demonic entity at their true form, what they really are, when they're disguising themselves as a loved one to you and I.
That's craziness.
That's why they kill animals.
Yeah. And you were saying too that those dark entities once they know you,
Yep.
that's they know you.
Yep. They know the kind of car you drive, they know your name, they know your age,
Mhm.
you live.
Man, that's wild.
And that's like some people go in and challenge a demonic entity. Bad idea. That
Very bad.
entity doesn't have to listen to you. It was never living.
Yeah,
It does
true.
what it wants when it wants.
Yep. Yeah, my team, like, we don't provoke, we don't encourage provoking,
Yeah, that
I mean, that's the main thing about investigating. You go in and you always wanna be respectful, you wanna treat the entities like they're a human being. I mean, once upon a time they were, and, it's you wouldn't want someone shoving a piece of equipment in your face or anything to them, it's the common courtesy. You
a
wanna
lot of
treat
them don't even know what that equipment is.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we have to explain our equipment, before, before we start investigating. We'll usually introduce ourselves and tell them why we're there and, that we want to just have a conversation with them and invite them into the conversation. But yeah, you always want to introduce your equipment and kind of explain what it does and how to use it and how they can use it to interact with us and, yeah, keep it respectful.
But also some of the equipment can actually give you false readings too, like your K2 meters, pick up
Yeah,
your
that's
cell
true.
phones.
You can definitely get false positives. We a lot of the time will try to make sure that everyone has their phone on airplane mode so that that's not interacting with any of the equipment, setting it off by accident. But even like the SLS cam, that can have false positives. It can pick up a chair or, an angle of a doorway, a door frame. Um,
Yeah, the cheaper ones, the different ones, like the one I've got doesn't pick up your tables, chairs, none of that.
Yeah. I meant to actually ask you about that because I think mine does, but I don't know what settings you have yours on because I think we have the same one. I have the SLS Connect Studio one. Um, or
Mine
sorry,
mine's
Connect.
the Studio, but mine does 2D and 3D.
Mhm. Yeah, mine does the 2D and the 3D as well, but it's brand new to me, so it could be a setting that I'm just not familiar with yet, how to get it to not pick up stuff like that because I know mine will pick up a chair. It's pretty like infrequent that it'll pick it up, but it will pick it up.
Does yours show the regular standard night vision picture, like a clear night vision picture, or does it show kinda like that colored picture that you see them use on TV?
It has a setting that's an IR. I believe it's IR. So I usually have it set to that because it just looks like it's night screen. It's kind of like a night mode version of it, so you don't have to have lights on or anything, and it'll still work.
And yours is the Xbox One camera that's on it?
I think I don't know if it's the
Is
one
it
or
the
two.
big, long one, probably about
Yeah.
like that, and it's bulky looking? I think
Yeah.
it's heavy to carry around.
Yeah. So,
I
um,
see one similar to mine.
yeah, it sounds that way. So I don't know what the setting is on it, but it's, like I said, it's new to me. I'm still learning the piece of equipment myself. So
If you mess with it, take a picture of the settings, and I'll take a look and match it up with mine and see.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be super helpful.
Mine also records audio, so you gotta wear a set of headphones with it, because if you don't, you get that echo.
Yeah, mine has that as well, and I've heard that before. Usually I'll like turn the volume down and then still put it on like record mode and it seems to have the volume after. But sometimes the videos don't play back, so it's almost best to like record with your cell phone. So at least from my experience with the one.
Well, you can put a little SD card in them and save it to an SD card.
Oh, that's a great idea as well. Yeah, because I definitely have the
Mine
SD readers, so that would be great. That's a good idea.
mine, I actually had to repair mine. Mine got kicked over on an investigation by a client,
Oh, yikes.
and
Yeah.
it screwed up the whole program in the tablet, so I had to delete it, re-download it, and then the camera, I had to go inside and fix some of the circuits in it.
Oh man, yeah, I just got mine and I got mine from like eBay and and the person that I bought it from is actually like really nice and really good with equipment because it came and I was like having issues with it working some of the time. Like some of the time it would just have no screen, it would just show up gray. And so he's been great. He just sent me a new SLS cam and I have to finagle it and try to get it you
Probably
know,
from
all
the same
connected.
guy did. If it looks like mine, it's probably from the same guy, because I bought mine off of eBay.
Oh, really? Yeah, probably. He's somewhere in like Arizona. I
Yep.
don't. Yep. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Or seems to be. He just sent me that other cam to test out, and I got to send another one back. I just haven't even gotten all set up and everything with Christmas, just happening and everything. I haven't had the time. So
If you guys want some good spirit boxes, reach out to Supernatural Inc., KD Stafford and Katie Stafford. They make some excellent ones.
okay, yeah, that's great to
They
know.
they make a reverse sweep
Oh,
spirit box,
cool.
so everything is swept in reverse.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I would love to get a good spirit box. I don't have any in my, actually I take that back. I do have a spirit box 7, I think, from
Oh,
Go,
the SP7, yep.
but honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that one. I don't find it always works that
Yeah,
well.
I don't use my SP7.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to find one, like you said, that's great to have that as a resource. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Supernatural Inc., KD makes some good ones. His is shortwave, so it's sweeping so quick, you don't get radio.
Oh, cool. That
And The ink box reverse sweep, he's got reverb on it too. You can
Mhm.
also Bluetooth stuff into it.
Nice.
You can actually he's still got it set to where you can actually record to a cassette tape.
Oh, no way, that's awesome.
Yep.
They still make those? I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
That's very cool.
Or you can put an SD card in it and save everything to an SD card.
Yep, not
He
bad.
made one called the Wiseman where you actually your body's the actual antenna for it.
Oh, wow, cool.
Hold the 2 bolts and you ask your question, and they use your energy from your body to answer the question to the spirit box.
Oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. That's a
And
good
then
experiment.
he's got the nanocoms, they work pretty good too. They've got shortwave on it, or you get the little mini Inkbox S.
Mhm.
That's got shortwave, reverb. That's also got a flashlight built in it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we have all sorts of equipment for sure. There's so much out there. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
always trying to expand what I have and my knowledge of it because it's a lot to learn. So,
Yeah,
um,
we've got a lot also. We've got cameras,
yeah,
yes,
we've got,
thermal.
yep, we have one team member has the tripwire, so that's fun to use. I think you mentioned using that on an investigation earlier.
It works pretty good.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I don't know. The
I'd GoPro, that's full spectrum.
Yep, yep. Um, I don't know.
Motion sensors. The cat balls work good, but you can get false positives with them. If you get a little vibration,
Yep.
it'll set them off. The best thing for cat balls, we like to take them and put them on stairs
Mhm.
all the way. You take a whole bunch of them. So if you're sitting there and they're starting to light up, and each one at a time,
Nice.
something's walking down the stairs.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, we use cat balls too. I found like the ones that I had, they all died. I need to order new ones. So eventually, they'll drain all the energy from them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they work pretty good. We've set them in different places like windowsills and on shelves and they seem to work pretty good. And then we've done like flashlights, of course, the
Yep.
flashlight experience. Um, yeah, there's quite a bit of equipment. We're always trying to expand, like I said. So, I mean, my team members are always into the next new thing. They're always getting like the bell and this and that.
Hell, yep.
Yeah, so that's a cool device. Trying to think what else. I really like the Polter script. It's kind of like an Ovilus. One of my team members has that, and that's a fun one to use. Sometimes spit out too many words, and we'll have to turn the sensitivity down. But um,
Okay. Heart says technically.
he's our tech guy, and he's the one with the Polter script. So
Yeah, we like I said, we got quite a bit too as well. Night vision handhelds, full spectrum handhelds. We working on we've got the SB7, like I said, I don't like using that. I've got motion sensors that emit alarms. I've got the one you can hang on a door.
oh, cool,
So if a door moves, it'll emit an alarm.
nice.
I've got the Mel that's got the REM pod built into it, and it's also got shadow detection.
Yep, I've seen those little Mel meters with the REM pods. They've just got like the kind of right.
Yep. They actually work pretty good. I trust that more than I would a K2 meter.
Yeah, the K2s, I have a K2, but yeah, I always like to run like a Mel meter alongside it too and just see, what the difference is if we pick up anything different.
Now, like at Waverly, we were able to actually couldn't explain. We had K2 meter, my Mel with REM pod, another K2 meter, and it was coinciding all the way around the table, back and
Oh
forth.
wow, that's neat. Hmm.
And it was setting the REM pod off as well at the same time.
Nice. We've done experiments. I also have three singing bowls. So actually, one of them is from Gettysburg, and two of them are from I believe New Centara, the warehouses, when we had investigated there, they were generous and gave us a little discount so we could buy some stuff, and that's what I got. Um, so yeah, so with the singing bowls, we've done experiments with those alongside like the tripwire. And I think we did that up at Wilson Castle, and we had some good activity on that. The tripwire was lighting up in response to the singing bowls, and that was pretty cool. I did see a message pop up from Mark saying another good piece of equipment that we use. He likes the Vortex Dome that lights up. It goes around the sides,
Yeah, yep, I've seen those.
and so that one's a cool one. And we also use the Lorex cams as well. So those are some good portable cameras that you can use. Capture everything, and we just hook them up to a battery pack, and it's as simple as that. And then they have little SD cards in them, and we can plug those into our SD readers, and and then review evidence that way. So that's just a little more of the equipment that we have.
Another good person for equipment to reach out to is Austin Maynard.
Okay.
He's the actual tech guy for Nick Groff,
Oh, awesome. Very cool.
and he's good friends of KD, and their stuff is a lot of ITC experiments,
Oh, cool. Yep.
what they build, and KD built that. I don't know if you ever seen 28 Days Haunted.
I guess not.
It was on Netflix. Pastor Jerome, who's a demonologist, wore this helmet in there. That was developed by KD Stafford.
Oh, wow. Cool. Um, Yeah, I would love to get connected. That would be awesome. So, Mark, pay attention. He's
Yeah,
on.
just reach out to him on Facebook here,
Yeah,
KD Stafford and Katie on Supernatural Inc.
yeah, awesome.
His equipment's pretty good. I just seen his new invention, which he's keeping for himself. It's a power EMF power glove.
Ooh, how's that work?
He's got LED strip lights up the fingers, and each finger's got EMF sensors in it.
Oh, cool.
Your hand out in an EMF field, all these lights will light up your hand.
Awesome. Very cool. That's inventive.
Mark says he's paying attention.
Excellent.
But yeah, he does that. They do good work. He actually built the Spirit Box TV.
Oh, cool.
Thing's probably about that big. We saw it at
Wow.
Metacon, and it's actually got a little TV tube in there that plays the snowy image,
Oh, no way. That's
and then
kind of
the
neat.
white noise with the Spirit Box.
Awesome. Yeah, because you were saying like the ITC equipment and everything. I mean, that's going right back to, just for people in the audience who might not know what that is. That's going back to like the pretty much the voice stuff, right? I mean, it's like the EVPs, the voice recordings, the spirit boxes, stuff along those lines. Obviously,
Frank's boxes and stuff like that.
yeah, voice boxes. Man, I would love to get my hands on one of those, but that's like impossible, right? We all want that.
Right. Well, that's like back in the day. They used to take those old Radio Shack radios and make Spirit Box hacks out of them.
Yeah.
They're able
Mhm.
to remove something in there to keep it continuously sweeping.
Yep.
Now they got them where you can adjust the speeds and the sweep. You guys use any phone apps for investigating at all?
I'm not familiar with it. If my team has used it, I guess I don't know what that is. But
Necrophonic, which is a Spirit Box app.
oh, yeah, I have heard of the Necrophonic app actually. And I think we did use that at Jamaica State Park. So I think we did try using that app. But it was a lot of noise. There was a lot going on. So
Yeah, I mean it's hard with Necrophonic. I run a recorder with it,
mhm.
so if
Yeah,
you're not understanding it, your recorder is.
I run a recorder pretty much all the time on an investigation. That's
That's
actually probably my favorite piece of equipment is just a simple Olympus recorder that I got off Amazon. Um, but yeah, I mean, some of the equipment for people that want to get into this field, you don't have to have expensive
no.
equipment. You can get the basics and go out and investigate. You just want to have the proper permissions and of course be respectful.
Yep, that and get permission,
Yep,
proper
exactly.
training, do your research before you jump head over heels into it.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
A lot of people do it for the thrill of it, there's nothing wrong with it, but you going into these haunted places you know nothing about because you didn't do your research, you're coming home with an attachment or something.
yep, exactly. You want to be very careful and you want to not unknowingly invite anything in. So,
Because that's even doing Estes method, you're inviting.
yep, that's very true.
Like us, we'll only do a 15-minute session, and then we pull them out.
Yeah, we try to limit it as well. I mean, there are some that have lasted a little longer than other ones, but it depends how, how it's going. But yeah, I wouldn't say to stay in estays for like an hour or anything, 20 minutes, half an hour. Okay. But
And we actually learned something, this was in September, we
mhm.
from which I need to give them a shout out, Epic VIP Events, Mike and Sam, Mike taught us a countdown that he does when they do Estes, because they
Oh,
have an Estes chamber,
mhm.
and it actually puts pressure on the spirits to get them to talk because they know you're getting ready to pull them out of it.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool method. I like that a lot. So
And
maybe we'll try.
we did it at a Paracon with we
Yeah.
were on the haunted object panel with a doll, and he went up there to count them out of Estes, and he started counting down from 10, and it came across the spirit box to the Estes 2.
No way.
That doll was like, "Nope, we're done."
Wow. That's pretty neat. Pretty
Yep.
cool.
And so we started utilizing that on the countdowns, and it's worked pretty good for us.
Yeah, I'd like to try that method for sure. Counting down. So, yeah, I mean, if that gets them talking, that's pretty neat.
Oh, it does, and then they did one with a haunted mirror, and they
Hmm.
had me count 'em out of Estes, and I walk up there, and it must have been a flirty old lady that was attached to this mirror or something.
Oh, yikes. Have you ever tried like that scrying or whatever it is that
First
they,
time,
yeah.
yeah, I've done it, and I don't promote anybody doing it.
Yeah, it's nothing I ever wanted to get into or anything, but
I've done it once, and I won't do it again.
wow. What was your experience like? I mean, it sounds like it was pretty intense.
It was my face changed to something dark,
Ooh.
real dark and evil. It's like my whole chin just got longer and pointier, and
Ooh, yikes. Yeah. Understandable why you wouldn't want to do that one again. So,
I don't promote doing it.
yep.
Even I've done Estes where just using my abilities, we didn't use a spirit box. And
Hmm.
we did it in Missouri State, and I ended up Nesper, which is Ed and Lorraine's team. They had some of the haunted objects out there.
Oh, wow.
There was some leftover dark energy while I was doing Estes, and I was communicating with JB the Firebug. And then all of a sudden, something dark come in behind the blindfold. I could see my third eye, and I was like, "Nope, we're done.
Yeah, never mind that.
I'm not
I don't.
communicating with you."
Yeah. Yikes.
Well, that's like I took a picture of Annabelle, the movie one,
Mhm.
and she's sitting in the actual Annabelle chair, and you see this on the right-hand side, you'll see this arm coming out, fist closed, and then when I take the selfie with her, you see the hands opened up.
Yikes. Yeah, no way. I don't know how you don't get scared during those moments. I would be freaking out.
No, it doesn't bother me anymore. I mean, I've
Yeah.
for so many
Well,
years.
I mean, it is all about standing in your power, and I am a
Yep.
firm believer in that too. So I guess in the moment, you just hang in there.
And then when you're doing residential, your main focus, you're there to help that client,
Hmm.
that family, so you forget all about all that scary stuff. You're
Yeah, that's true. You're just investigating and doing your job that you're there to do, and that's absolutely true.
and that's why a lot of times I'll get cussed at on EVPs because my questioning is direct and to the point, I'm trying to figure out why this entity's terrorizing the family.
Mhm.
If it was their house at one time and then or it's something else that didn't belong there or it's connected with the land. So
Yeah,
sometimes
or it
I'll get
could just
looked at.
be it could just be that, they don't understand too. I mean, sometimes on investigations, it's like the family will be scared because they don't understand what the entities, they're for, and they may just not understand that that's an entity that just needs help, and really it's nothing as scary as it seems. That can be the case sometimes too.
In one house we did, there was a guy that owned it, and he passed away there. He
Hmm.
comes back once in a while and checks, and I tell a client, I said, "Of course, he's gonna come back and check his house."
Yeah,
And he comes, he checks, and then he leaves.
yeah, no harm, no foul. It's just his home that he's checking on, so that makes sense.
Like, I tell our clients when we do a cleansing, I'm like, we get rid of the bad, we try to keep the good there, they'll move on eventually,
Yep.
and it's all making amends with them.
Yeah, that's true. It's bringing people to peace, and entities to peace. That's the best you can hope for, the best outcome.
We just got off a case not too long ago where, these people are selling the house and they're moving to a new house, and it's haunted, and they called us in because they were afraid that it was gonna follow them, and she wasn't sleeping because of anxiety, and so we did an investigation there, my dad and I did, and come to find out, man died there in the living room. He died of a heart attack on the floor. The woman died in the closet in the bedroom,
Wow.
and we've got on the SLS camera, my dad sitting there on the couch, and you can see the hands reaching out to his legs, like he was reaching for help,
Oh,
like, "Help
yeah,
me,"
yeah,
like he was reliving the time he died.
yeah. That's so sad. Wow.
And they've remodeled some of the house, so that kinda kicked it up as well, and
Yeah.
I did a cleansing on them, did a cleansing on the house.
And have
Both
they had activity since then, or has it pretty much cleared up?
it stopped, she's sleeping again, and
Wow. Good. Well,
so
you did what you could
we're
do.
going to their new house and doing a blessing out there
Hmm.
for them. So,
Nice. Yeah, it's nice when it comes full circle and you're able to help them and really experience that and see that what you do is really truly making a difference in people's lives, and I think that's really awesome.
yeah, it's a good feeling when you're done at the end of the night and you have them walk through their house and they feel that sense it's light, everything's
Later. Yeah.
there, and that does it for us, and then they give us hugs and thanking us, and
Yeah.
especially for kids. Our
Yeah.
we got kids, well, that's our first priority.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about, is making people feel safe in their own homes, and that's awesome. Especially, you're right, if there's children involved, then it's high priority case.
Yeah, we'll drop everything to go for kids before we'll do a case without kids.
Hmm.
And, I mean, kids are innocent, and they're easy targets, especially for your darker demonic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the times they're slightly more in tune to this stuff than adults too. I mean, we're
Yeah,
desensitized.
their brains aren't developed like an
Yeah.
adult brain is to it, so they're more in tuned with it,
Hmm.
and a lot of times we have them take the kids out for the night. We don't want any kids there when we're investigating.
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, you don't want to stir something up and have it, attached to them by accident. I mean,
And most of the time, we're there all night till daylight, so
mhm.
we'll have them come back, and then we'll do a cleansing on them too.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So we had one case we did where she had 3 kids, and this lady wasn't sleeping at all. I don't think she slept in, like, 3 or 4 days. and she called us in, and we did a cleansing on kids, and then grandma took the kids. So we went in, she actually fell asleep while we were there,
Wow. Oh my goodness.
'cause she felt at ease, and
Yeah, she felt at peace finally.
we ended up cleansing the house and helping her out, and she's good now.
That's great. Yeah, excellent.
Another thing I could tell you too is watch how people fake stuff. A lot of people fake paranormal activity for attention too.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good piece of advice there because certainly people can see, what you come up with and everything and fake their way through it. But I mean, I think I was watching something the other day. It might have even been your show earlier today that I was tuning into with John Zaffis.
Yeah.
It might have been on there that someone was talking about how, yeah, no, sorry, I lost my train of thought on that one. Um, what were we talking about right before that?
We were talking about people faking paranormal
Uh,
activity
yeah,
just for attention.
um, I think you guys might have been talking about that same subject of, how people can set up cameras in their homes that are trying to catch you, as you're investigating, and you're like, "We're
Hmm.
not faking this out," they can just kinda be testing the investigators a little bit too, so I
Oh,
thought
we got
fascinating.
called in on another case to help a team out, and they were there the first time, and I guess the girl was under demonic oppression, and they did a cleansing. Well, they thought it had come back, so they brought us in to help them out, and so we were talking to her. She was fine when we got there, and gave everybody hugs, and then all of a sudden it was just like that.
Mm,
She's Her eyes just went to a stare. She was growling.
yikes.
So my dad and I, we played a little psychological game with her.
Smart.
I says, call Farah. Farah's our demonologist friend who I study with.
Mhm.
And so I was like, all right, I'll call her and she'll bring a priest out here. And so I went outside the door and I stood by the door and I put Farah on speakerphone so this girl could hear everything I was talking about. And I'm like,
Yep.
so you coming out? She says,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm coming and I'm bringing the bishop with me and we'll take care of this. And that girl, I guess that girl's eyes were just asphyxiated right on that door.
Oh, wow.
So I stood in front of her and I showed her my Saint Benedict medal that's blessed. She didn't even react. She just stared at me.
Oh my
So
god.
she grabbed one of the other team members and we grabbed her to restrain her, and she didn't even have any superhuman strength. You're demonic. They'll throw you back like you're nothing.
Mhm.
And so she started nodding off. I'm like, let's do a cleansing on her. So we took a big Saint Benedict medal about that big, and I placed it right here on the shoulder. She didn't even react to it, and then the cat got up there and licked her face.
Huh.
I'm like, you
You're
might as well give it up. We know you're faking it.
Yeah, like, you're not it's
She
not
was
legit.
doing it to scare her sister,
Yeah.
basically what it was. Her oldest sister used to beat up on her. She was afraid this one would.
Ugh.
So we just took the family, put them in the bedroom, let them hash it out, made her tell her mom that she was faking it, and
Yeah, just for attention, so
now they're good. They go to church, and they're all back to normal.
oh, well, that's good. I mean, at least it brought peace to the family and, in some
So
way.
sometimes it's not all paranormal. Sometimes you got to be a psychologist in this field when it comes to
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's good advice. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
other ways. Most teams will go in and they'll stir it up, and then they leave, and then they just leave the client sitting there and without the help they need, especially if they need help with clergy. They'll just go in and verify what's there. "Hey, we verified what's here. We're done."
Yeah, that's why, like, we'll try to, if someone really needs help with cleansing or something, we'll refer it out. I mean, we usually know some people that can help with that, even if our group doesn't. So it's like we're happy to help as much as we can, and then we'll pass that on along to someone more like yourself that is an expert in that.
And we have connections, like I said, with demonologists, church. We've got connections
Mhm.
in the psychology field, so they need help in that aspect.
Now, what would you say to someone that's like not religious, that's maybe dealing with a dark entity like that, and they might say, "Oh, well, what's the church going to do? I'm not religious."
Well, that's where we come in
Hmm.
our cleansings. Even though they're not religious, we'll still do our cleansing on them, which will still help them because of our faith
Hmm.
putting towards them, and then we leave them with a set of instructions what to do.
Awesome. And you find that that's helped them? I mean,
It's helped quite a few that
awesome.
way, and there's quite a few of them that did turn to church
Hmm. Amazing.
for it
Yeah.
because they were afraid that if they didn't find their faith, that it would come back.
Makes sense. I mean, I'm a strong believer that the good always overpowers the bad. So you know, good
Right,
versus evil, and good's gonna win.
because when you're cleaning, like, your demonic entities out, all
Hmm.
they're doing, they're going out the door.
Right.
They're gonna find somewhere else to go, find somebody else that's got trauma or negative energy that's gonna feed it, they're gonna head that way.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's not like the devil takes them back to hell or anything like that.
No. Mm.
So it's kinda like a battle when it comes to that,
Yep. I agree.
and that's why you bring in the priests. Priests are the ones that are able to cast it back to where it belongs.
Hmm.
Or like us, we're more just the verification. Like, if we get a case that we can't handle that involves exorcism, then I turn it over to Farah,
Yeah. You pass it up the line. Yep.
and then Farah takes care of it from there. She's got the connections with, because she works for the diocese office,
Wow.
and she's got 40 plus years in this, so that's why I chose her as my mentor, and I've been good friends with her and her late husband for a few years.
Yeah. I don't personally know her, but she sounds amazing. So,
Yeah, if you look up the Swords of Saint Michael on YouTube,
okay.
and she's got some instructional videos, she'll actually take these movies that have the demonic stuff in it, and she'll pick them apart,
Oh, wow. Cool.
real and what's fake, what's
Yeah.
Hollywood. She did all the Conjuring movies.
Oh, man. That's amazing. I would love to watch that. That sounds cool.
Yep, look her up on YouTube. She's also on Facebook.
Okay. Awesome, will do. Speaking of that, I should probably also mention my team's social media. Just a little plug. But yeah, our team, Paranormal Investigators of New England, can be found on all social media. So I believe they have a TikTok. I'm personally not on TikTok. So, but our Instagram, I believe, is official underscore pine underscore. Our Facebook official underscore pine as well, I believe. And we're on YouTube as well. Again, official underscore pine. Our website is www.pi-ne.org.
Yeah, definitely check them out if you guys need help. They're part of the Taps family, so you know they're legit.
Yes, and I don't even know if I had mentioned that earlier. I don't think I did. But yeah, we are part of the Taps family.
The Taps family, they don't just choose anybody. They're very strict on who they bring into their family.
Hmm.
Just like Cold Spotters is the same way. They're very strict.
Yep, very true.
So, anything else you want to pick my brain? We got about 15 minutes left.
I mean, I'm happy to stay and chat. Totally up to you. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't really have any other questions, at this point.
All right. So with your team, what is some of the scary occurrences you've had with the team?
Ooh. Um, So one I can get into is Jamaica State Park. Like I said, that's a state park that's near, it's maybe 5 minutes away from my house, 5 to 10 minutes away. And we were investigating there. It was three team members. It was myself, Deb Dutcher, and Lindsay Agard. And then we also had a podcast guy with us. He was there because we were doing some storytelling event before we went off to investigate. His name is Nick Willard. He's with Almost Canon Podcast. Shout out to Nick as well. So Nick was with us investigating, and we also had a guest from the storytelling event who kind of wanted to join in on the investigating piece. And so, we went through the whole insurance thing with them. We have
Right.
insurance for us. You're not covered. So, if you want to join in, feel free. But, um, so we gave him the spiel, and then he came along with us, and we were in two different locations. So we started off down by the river where we set up our laser grid, and that's where we wound up seeing that Fisher cat I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And then we moved up, and we did catch some EVPs down by the river too. And then we moved up to the hiking trail, and the hiking trail was really fascinating. It was rumored that there's a headless man seen walking around. I think he was some kind of soldier. And he was rumored to be like walking around there. Um, and it's funny, like I grew up going hiking there, and like I never saw
Right.
anything, but there have been a lot of deaths at Jamaica State Park because there's also a swim hole where people go swimming and everything and jumping into the river, and a lot of people have actually passed away there. And I know there's been some suicides there, and so there is some history to the park for sure. And when we were out investigating on the hiking trail, that was pretty interesting to me. Like I said, it was the five of us out there. We had cat balls that we had walked down, and that was kind of funny because Nick with Almost Canon Podcast, he was like, "Who's going out there to put the cat ball out there?" And I'm like, "I'll go. I'm not scared. I'll go. It's fine." And he was kind to go and pick the cat ball up with me later in the evening. So that was nice of him. But yeah, we had set some stuff out, and we were just asking questions and investigating and doing a few different experiments. And it got to a point where my whole team, everyone there, all five of us, um, I should say all four of the other people there, were facing down the trail that way. And I turned around and was facing that way, and it's trail both ways. And all of a sudden, I saw something floating, and it was like a gray object, didn't have like a real shape to it, but it was on the smaller side. And I saw it floating, and it was probably floating for 20 to 30 seconds. And again, I'm not a person who typically sees stuff. I mean, Gettysburg was one thing that's,
Right.
kind of, it's a rare occurrence for me. So I looked purposefully to make sure that everyone that was standing there in the line with me didn't have like a light shining down that way or anything. No one had a light shining down that way. They were all facing the opposite direction. So I'm like, okay, the thing's still floating around. And I turned around and mentioned it, and I said, "Oh, I just saw, something floating. It was, gray." And I start describing it, and Nick and the guest said, "We just saw that fly right between us as well." So I'm like, "That's interesting." So I took three succession photos, and in the first photo, you don't see anything. In the second photo, you can see a couple of objects, starting to form. It's like they were moving. And then in the third photo, you see what looks to me like the body of a man and a little head floating right
Mhm.
above it. Um, So I'm convinced, of course, that like I saw the floating head, and that's what that object was that
Right.
I Nick and the other guest had seen floating between them. I'm like, maybe it was the guy's head. I don't know. Um, so that's kind of neat. We have an evidence reel for that one. That's kind of one of my favorite, one of my favorite ones. I'm trying to think of what else. We've definitely had when I first joined the team. I went up to Wilson Castle in Proctor, Vermont. Uh, and one of the first experiments I did, I was with my director and we were doing the flashlight experiment and we were having success with that. So the flashlight was going off. And that was definitely intelligent. We were getting some good intelligent responses. There's a woman who used to reside there. Her name is Sarah Johnson. So we think it was Sarah that we were interacting with. Again, intelligent. So that was pretty neat to me. Trying to think of what other experiences that I've had. I've had a lot, even for being on the team for a short period of time. But I've also had experiences before I joined the team, so all kinds of stuff. Doors, I've seen doors close on their own. I've seen a door stop and like stutter and then shut. That was at the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, Mass. And I had two people with me, and they both saw it as well. Um, I don't know, lots of experiences.
And like me, I've got a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping to only, accrue some more,
Yeah,
but
the more you do it, the more experiences you'll have. Like I said, once you start getting seasoned, you'll actually start sensing a lot more. You'll start noticing a lot more.
yep, I think so too. I've also had an experience before where, on occasion I'll get a little like tidbit of information just pop in my head. So one was I was investigating with a whole group of people. And this was before I was on my team. And we were the person leading the investigation was a psychic medium, and she owns a store in New Hampshire. And we were investigating in the store, in the basement of the store, and we were all down there in a circle. And she was trying to come up with the person's name that we were communicating with. She was using dowsing rods and to come to the name, and so she was like clicking them together, going through the alphabet trying to get to the name. And all of a sudden, the name Mary popped into my head, and then no sooner than it popped into my head, the medium said the name Mary, and then the person next to me said, Mary, that's my mom's name. And so that was kind of a neat experience. When you get a little piece of information and you see your intuition, play out like that, it's pretty
Mm.
cool. And I do think the longer you're on the team, certainly the more you start picking up on stuff like that too. Your intuition becomes a little clearer.
Yep. And then the more you'll be able to decipher what is real, what is fake, what you're able to debunk. And
Yeah, absolutely.
there's like a abandoned hotel that we did, and we were up in the library. So I started walking towards the back of the library. The other team members stayed up in the front. I hear this loud metallic clank, and I'm filming on my phone, and you hear me react to it, and then I go over to where it came from, and it was a metal toolbox lid had lifted up and slammed shut.
Oh, wow.
I go over there and recreate the sound, trying to figure out what did it, and I bounced up and down on the floor, everything, and nothing got
And
that lid to move.
yeah, wow.
My dad and I, we decided that night we were gonna spend the night in that hotel. Rest of my team went to another hotel, so we're like, "We're gonna stay the night here." We had cameras running all night, no power in there or anything, so we had to run a generator. Well, about 3 o'clock in the morning, generator kicked off. Place the little storefront we were staying in goes dark. I
Wow.
start nodding off on the couch. My dad says, "Hey, you wait." Look in the doorway, and here's this big black figure standing in the doorway looking at us,
Yikes.
and we think it was the former owner that used to own the place. He knew the power went out, so he's checking on his guests.
Yeah, that could be. It's a good theory.
But my dad, that same night, he rung a bell that was part of the hotel, and we're standing there talking to the owner. He goes to sit down in a chair, and this big old white glow goes around him.
Oh, wow.
Could never explain why that did that. Couldn't debunk it. Nothing.
Created it. Yeah, nothing. Wow. That's pretty neat.
Then he was watching our cameras, and it was summer. We're all in t-shirts. We walk in there, and I mean, you could see your breath. He was freezing.
Wow.
We ended up having to put a heat lamp on him, get blankets for him, and
Holy cow.
I finally got forceful with it, told it to back away, and it finally left.
And I bet he heated right up, didn't he?
Yep,
Neat.
and he's another one. He doesn't get scared to it anymore either. He don't
Yeah.
really.
Doesn't phase you after a while. I know it's funny how that happens, when you're on an investigation and you're like, wow, this should really probably scare me, but it doesn't. you know, I've had that experience.
I kind of laugh with new members when they get startled.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
We were at Missouri State with another team, and they invited us, and they had this new girl, first time ever being on a paranormal investigation.
Oh, wow.
And we're down in the dungeon, and we had a music box set up, motion lights, and I was playing like I was a guard calling the firebug out of the cell. While he set the music box off, I tell him he's in the wrong cell. He needs to come over to this one. And then each light, and I'm standing by the last light, and the light's right up next to me.
Wow.
And this girl just freaked. He's standing there, this light's turning on, and he's not even freaking out, and the rest of them are just laughing. It was like, "This is what we do."
It's what we do. I mean, it's actually, funny. I've had, like, a couple of instances on investigations, and this is kind of the side of paranormal investigating not a lot of people get to see, but I'm sure other investigators have experienced it too, where sometimes it's comical. I mean, we've had things that have happened that are just funny, but before I was on my team and I was investigating with that other group, um it wasn't like an official group. It was like you could sign up and go to their events and stuff like that. So I would sign up to everyone I could, possibly go to because I love this stuff. And I did make some really cool friends that way too. Um, but so one of the events actually was that same one where I was under Estes method, um, where the paranormal team from Maine was there and everything. It's that same investigation. We were going around and we went to one of the buildings and we sat down upstairs and we had this like whole place to ourselves and everything. We sat down to do an EVP session and we start doing it and we start asking these questions. And all of a sudden we heard a male voice. We asked, oh, how long have you been here or something? And this male voice comes through and it's like, well, a long time, like, I live here, like, I'm still here, what do you guys like, there was someone living, like, we didn't know he was in his apartment because we were supposed to have the whole place to ourselves. So we were just, like, laughing, it's like, on occasion, you get something, funny like that happens too, so it breaks up all the scary stuff sometimes.
Well, too, even in the paranormal field, it's not only spirits you run into elementals as well.
Yeah, that's true too. Mhm. I mean, yeah, I mean, you've got, like, the Fae and all that stuff out there as well.
Draconian starseeds, we ran into one of them on a case,
Oh, wow. Um,
and they're brought in to do good or harm. That this one was brought in to do harm, and it actually stepped aside to let us cross over a man that was trapped there,
oh, wow.
and then it just left and went back to where it came from because 'cause they're part of the earth.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Clients were making it sound like it was something demonic. Their daughter actually drew it,
Wow.
and I was like, "That's not a demon."
No, it's an elemental.
And it was actually grabbing her sister.
Wow.
Her sister's the one that called it forward.
So with the elementals, isn't is that the thing that I believe like Dustin Perry had seen or
Yeah,
had
yep.
experience, right?
Barry Wynn says, "I'm a born psychic, Catholic medium. All of my clairs and some other weird abilities. I call it spiritual hybrid sort. My given native name is she who sees and dances between the veil. My everyday
Oh, wow.
life is paranormal trip." So, yeah, those are like Dustin Perry had in that castle in Ireland
Hmm.
where he got knocked over. It smelled like burning rubber, and
Yeah, like went through him or something,
yep,
right? I think
yep.
that kind of impacted him for a little bit, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it changed his view on stuff. John Zaffis and I were actually talking about that.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, you guys were. That's right. Um, yeah, I've met Dustin Perry. He's really a really upstanding guy. He's really nice.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy. I didn't get haven't got to meet him yet. I know he's going to be out here in Missouri.
Yeah, he was at a talk in he was doing a talk in Torrington, Connecticut, and I attended that one. And he was super nice. I actually took myself out to dinner afterwards to the 99. It was like the only restaurant that I saw right there. So I pulled in, and sure enough, Dustin was in there too, and I believe Cody was with him as well, and I think they had their families and everything with them, and it was
Mhm.
super nice. I went to go pay, and Dustin had already bought my meal, and I was like, that was so
That,
so.
that's
Good.
nice of him.
Yeah, it was super sweet. So he's very down to earth and very nice.
Steve Gonzalez from Taps, he's down to earth guy too. I got to
Yep.
hang out with him at the Warrens Paracon
Oh, nice.
at the VIP party and got to
Yeah.
talk to him and Ghost Brothers and
Yep. I did. I went to a book signing for. It was him and Adam Barry. And they were doing a book signing, and so I had them each sign a book, one for each of my nephews, um, and they were both, you know, super super nice, cool dudes, and really funny. Adam is so funny. He had me cracking up during that.
Ghost
That
Brothers too. They're down to earth guys. They were pretty good. I was talking to them because they're friends of KD. KD was actually on their show,
oh,
and
awesome.
I had a message to send to him from KD.
Oh, wow.
They would call KD K Dizzle.
Love it.
So they were down to earth, and if you ever get a chance, go to the Warrens Paracon. The
Yeah.
Paracon is where
So,
you meet a lot of good people networking and a lot of teams, and
yeah, that would be awesome. I do plan to go to the Taps family reunion this year, so I'm excited for that. I can't give out any details on it, but I could say that I did sign up. I'm going to that, so I'm excited. But yeah, I would like to go that Paracon too. That sounds like a cool event.
yeah, they bring out the stuff from the museum too, so you can actually see the artifacts. And
Nice. Now, where do they typically do that? Is that typically in Connecticut?
they this one was in Gettysburg actually.
Oh, cool. So they do change it up, like the location and stuff. Awesome.
Yep, we went to the one in Gettysburg, and they brought like 70 pieces out of the Warren's Cult Museum.
Oh, cool.
And they actually had a table set up in the center where you could actually look at Ed and Lorraine's tools they used to investigate, and
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it'd
Ed
be interesting to see some of that.
bottle of holy water, everything.
Oh, yeah, that would be really cool to see.
And to meet a lot of people like Father Bob Bailey and stuff like that that was on
Mhm.
Paranormal. They
Oh,
Ryan
cool.
got to meet Ryan Buell.
Nice. Yeah, you had Father Bailey on your show before, right? Neat.
Yep, and I just had his partner James Anito on too also.
Oh, cool. Neat.
And then Jason McLeod, who actually worked with Ed and Lorraine in the '90s.
Wow. Yeah, you've had some pretty renowned guests, so it's very awesome.
Wind says, "Y'all should come to Canada. I could show you some pretty intense places." Canada's on our bucket list. We
Yeah,
we're part
that's
of the Cold Spotters, so
yeah, very cool.
that's where Cold Spotters was founded, was in British Columbia, Canada, so
Yeah, do you guys ever get up that way?
not yet. We've gotten calls for residential cases up there.
Oh, cool.
We get so tied up down here that it's hard to get.
Understandable. Yep. Especially being a team of what? You're like 3, right?
Yep, there's 3 of
Yeah.
us.
So you're spread kinda thin too,
Yep.
I mean, luckily for our team, we kinda have 3 sections because 'cause we've got Vermont, New Hampshire, and Mass, teams, so and we'll cross, if we need more investigators in Vermont, the, New Hampshire and Mass teams are generous and will, come to an investigation with us or, vice versa, so, we'll kinda share team members like that, but we're all, one big team overall. So we've got a lot of people and that's great. It makes it a lot easier for us to get to a lot of different locations. But I'm sure with you guys with just 3 people, that's
Yeah,
intense.
it is. I mean, we've done back-to-back investigations where we'll go on a Friday night, investigate one place, and then travel to another place Saturday.
Yeah, that's incredible. Cause I mean, I know personally from being on investigations, it can wear you out. I mean, next day you're drained and sometimes people don't realize that. And even before you get to an investigation, you have to get yourself in the right frame of minds and you have to really like be centered and, in the right energy um before you get to the investigation and then afterwards you're kind
Oh,
of
yeah. You wanna s you wanna sleep for about a week.
yeah, exactly. You're depleted and that's the whole thing too. It's like if you guys are doing them back to back, that's I don't know how you guys do that.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Coffee and Red Bull,
Yep.
Yeah,
It does. I know my dad and I, we get drained.
yeah. It's a thing. It really happens. So,
There's times we won't leave a location till, like, 9 o'clock in the morning
mhm.
after
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
all
Yeah. Yep, I've definitely had that happen too up at Wilson Castle. I think we were up there. I think we were leaving at like 8:30 in the morning or something, and they had tours coming in the morning at like 10. So
night.
we're trying to pack up and get out of there, and we're like all exhausted, and yeah, it happens.
That's like the haunted movie theater we do. She's got an apartment that we stay in up above when we're there, and you'll be trying to sleep, and you hear the staff coming in to show movies,
Hmm.
and then we have to get up early in the morning before they even get there and pick up all our gear because we can't have the cameras rolling while she's showing movies.
Right? Makes sense. Yeah. So you gotta pack up fast.
Yep, so we're on hooking, especially if we're doing a 2 night, we'll just unhook the cables and roll the cables up, move the cameras back into the hallways, and then just set them back out.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
But that place is actually world renowned too. That was on an episode of Dead Files
Oh wow, cool.
in 2012. We're the only team since then to actually go in there and investigate the place.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
We actually proved Amy Allen's not a fraud.
Cool.
We captured everything she picked up in there.
Really? That's amazing.
So, and that's one of our big places. She don't let any other teams in there but us.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. I mean, it sounds like you guys did a good job too.
And she doesn't want anything cleansed out.
Well,
But
if she's comfortable with it the way it is, that's.
well, with us too, we're respectful. We're
Yeah.
come in there. We're not disrespecting the spirits. Especially a man died there. A girl got kidnapped from there.
Wow. Yeah, but you also respect her wishes as well, and that's a big part of it is you gotta respect what the client, wants you to do there, and we'll ask that when we do our initial interview too, "What do you want from us? And, like, how can we help?" Because,
Right?
we want to make sure we're helping the clients and respecting their wishes too.
Yep, and we do forms for our clients.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
have them out, confidentiality forms, permission forms, and
Yeah, we have some forms too. I let my director handle that stuff, but I know we do have some forms like that too. So,
we also got a thank you letter that's thanking the client for their hospitality, and
mhm. Absolutely.
then we've got document forms for the lead investigators, and
Yep, we have all that too. We'll, you know, a lot of the time break into different, break the night into different segments, and we'll try to do base readings and get a reading at the end of the night as well, and all of that. So, yeah, we usually will try to put a report together and an evidence reel if we can. Um, but yeah,
and
it's
we have a lot of clients that don't want to see the evidence. They're like, "Nope, we don't want to see it. We don't want to relive the memories." So,
completely understandable. I personally, actually, since I've only been on this team for about a year, I personally haven't done a lot of residential yet. So I'm excited to get to some residential ones, but mostly the ones I've done have been like Wilson Castle, Gettysburg, restaurants. We've done a few inns and stuff like that. And I've actually have a couple more requests that have come in for a couple more inns. Um, that I want to, get set up with my team and everything. But I know I've had people reach out to me personally about them. And um, yeah, so I mean, those are kind of the type of events that I've been going to, but I would love to get into some of the home ones a little bit more.
yeah, they're interesting, but like
Yeah.
I said, they can be tough too.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because, like you were saying earlier, you have to decipher, are the
Yep.
people just doing it for attention? Is it a legitimate case? And, is it something that you can help with, too? Because as investigators, it's something that may be something where someone like you is more required, like, as a demonologist.
Especially schizophrenia
Hmm.
disorder. We run into that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true. Mental illness can play into it for sure.
And then you gotta try to decipher your darker stuff when it comes to that too, because that dark entity is gonna play on that schizophrenic disorder.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's scary stuff, like getting into that and just how manipulative these demons can be and everything. That's
Yeah, and
freaks me out. Yeah.
even with investigators, that them demonic, they can hurt you. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that don't believe
Mhm.
in there's nothing demonic. There is.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely believe in it. Um, but it is something that, I if I were to come across something like that, I'd probably be like, "Nope, I'm out." Just nope. Like I'm not letting any fear or anything, but nope, and not dealing with it. And that's kind of where I personally draw my line. But
Yeah, there it's not for everybody. I mean,
yeah, and there may be investigators even on my team I don't know who might, be up for that challenge, I guess, but it's not something I look for.
my advice for if you're gonna do it, study first
Yeah, absolutely.
your faith because you don't want to go without a faith strong enough and go challenge something like that. You're gonna get yourself hurt or possessed by something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
keep your guards up.
a lot of people don't realize that you go in there and you start challenging it, provoking, oh, show me what you can do. Do this.
Mm-mm,
You never
mm-mm.
fight it.
Never want to provoke. Nope. Yeah,
And you see a lot of that nowadays where people do that and then all of a sudden they end up quitting the field because something bad happens.
yep, absolutely.
April says, my son has DMDD, not sure if you know what that is, but we were watching him for schizophrenia. And as he went through puberty, I'm surprised that our psychiatrist was open to paranormal things. thankfully, he has moved away from that diagnosis, and we're trailing him off of antipsychotics.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, I've heard of cases before where people are misdiagnosed.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the
Yeah,
ones that get thrown in mental institutions. How do you know if that's actually what it is or it's not
yeah,
something else?
exactly. And I think that can be a hard line sometimes because you want to make sure that, anyone with a mental illness is definitely getting the help they need. But, certainly it could be something else. It could be something demonic or something, I mean, that's a fine line.
Well, that's like that case we did in Indiana. She wanted us to sign paperwork saying it was paranormal activity in her home while her kids got taken away. Like, we can't do that.
No,
I
no
won't
way.
hold up in a court of law. A judge will look at that and laugh and be like,
Hmm.
no way.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
And that's the Arnie Johnson case there that my cousins Ed and Lorraine did when he got in his deal.
Wow.
So, well, we've hit our hour mark, so
Passed it.
kind of past it.
Yeah.
So, you want to hang on for a few minutes and we'll close the show out?
Sure, sounds good. I did want to just give you a public thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been great fun talking to you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And anytime you want to do it again, just reach out. And we'll get
Yeah,
you on again. We'll bring
that's
the
so
rest of the team on too if they want to come on as well.
awesome. I'm sure that at least some of them would love that. So
So just hold on 1 minute. I'm gonna pull you down, and then I'll bring you back up, and we'll be backstage.
sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Glad you tuned in and stayed with me to the end. Hope everybody had a very good Christmas and have a safe New Year. Don't party too much. Be safe out there, especially driving. And we will see you all again next Saturday night, same time, same channel. And we're done.